So, wealth and inheritance, one of the things that I've come to realize is that from working jobs over and over, back and forth, I've realized that it's working at 9 to 5 for years and years on hand, and it's not something that I want to do forever. So things that I have to do is to work at least a job for a certain amount of time, and then within that time period, also try to work another job. I'll try to come up with something else that I can have some kind of a second income, so at least I won't be stuck in a certain particular job or having to stay in that job forever. Because I don't think no one ever wants to work a 9 to 5 until they're 65. It's a good idea for most, and it's what most people know, but I don't think everybody wants to do that. And for me in particular, that's something that I am not going to do. Let me know what you guys think. If you've come across this, especially if you've grew up in a certain if you grew up in a certain community that this is all they do, this is all they know, and this is simply what they pass down to you, and ways in which you go about in trying to do something different. Here we go. Legitimate reason why working a 9 to 5 isn't the dream. While it's good to work a 9 to 5, however, it's I don't think no one wants to work a 9 to 5 job forever. And and I've got some good reasons here as to why no one wants to work a 9 to 5 job forever. As a matter of fact, most people only work a 9 to 5 job because they have to, and most people need to pay bill and they need to do majority of things that is required when it comes to spending and living in comparison. So a few things that working a 9 to 5 really incurs, which majority of people just experience day in day out, is being burnt out and stress. The stress of having to go into a 9 to 5 job, especially a job that you don't really like, and a job that you don't really want to work, places that you don't really want to go, and of course, there's always variables, but I'm touching on the reasons as to why no one wants to work a 9 to 5 job forever. And so that is one of them. And another one is you have very limited control over your life. And that that really includes the amount of time you get to do anything. Very, very limited time. It was such a great thing to being able to work to acquire to get all the things that you want. But after that, after you reach to a certain point, then you realize there is certain things that matter more than just having to go clock in and out of a job, especially if the job is not paying you enough to be able to save, pay out your bills, and to venture off into another venture. Like if, for instance, if you want to start start a business of your own, most 9 to 5 job won't pay you enough to even to be able to do that. And so when you think of it, most job is the main reason for it, you even going back and forth. The job will keep you coming back so you can accomplish the work, of course, but the work to income ratio it's very limited. The job will keep you coming back over and over, and yes, the job will pay you, but the job will only pay you so much. And in turn, you'll give up all your time, and you'll give up all your energy and your effort. And while initially it is a good thing to have a 9 to 5 job, but overall, if you're not planning on working until you're 65 or older, then these are things that you have to look into. For most people in previous generations, they didn't have as much opportunity, so what else could they do, right? But in today's day and age, with the opportunities that are being presented to us, why wouldn't you want to venture off to be able to make things a little bit more easier for you and for those that are in your life? Imagine having to retire and the money that you retire with, you can only spend so much and do so much. And also, by the time you retire, there is only so much that you can do. So the idea now for those that are trying to do better, at least, the idea now is to have a second income, a second, a third, or fourth income. And there are lots of ways to do that, which I will get into. But now I just want to Now I just want to get through these points. So that was two. That was the first two that I just went through. Now there's another one which it won't seems like it because for most people they are comfortable and they're happy in just clocking in and out, going to work. But the next point I'd like to make is that you have very little growth. You can grow, but you can grow within that business structure. But growing apart and beyond that, there is very little growth room. And so that kind of stifles you, especially when you want to do things so as to you want to go travel or you want to just spend some time doing the things that you want to do. With the 9 to 5, you have to go clock in, spend the time, and then clock back out and make preparations for the next day to do that over and over and over and over again. And for most people, it is a comfortable life. They work Monday through Friday, and then Friday it's time where they get to the point that it's now time to celebrate or wind down. And I understand it. I've pretty much been there myself. However, it comes to the point where you have to think to yourself, what is it that you want for your life and for the rest of your life? So it's a decision that everyone have to make. Whether you're gonna start some kind of a business or find a way in which you can have some kind of a passive income. Otherwise, you're gonna be on the 9 to 5 back and forth day in day out along with everyone else. And nobody really wants to work a 9 to 5 job. Nobody. I know I liked it when I just started it, and I've done it for a very long time. However, I've looked into it a long time ago and realized that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is the craziest thing ever. It's great for the employers because you're making their business better. But in turn, what are you getting? The only thing you can do is to pay your bills. But what can you do beyond that in order to further your life? So my suggestion to every and anybody is always to work your 9 to 5, but at the same time you're working your 9 to 5, find something else that you can do to bring a second income in. So at a point in time in your life, you can venture off and do something else apart from that business. Otherwise, that business, their priority is to keep you at the job so they can breadcrumb you in order just to pay your bills and to cover just the minimum, but nothing beyond that. And that is a sad, 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 sad life for many of people. Given the fact it's a good thing if you're comfortable with it, but for those that want better, obviously you have to find ways to do better. Legally, of course. the basic things that you want to pay. And of course, I've just give the flip side to that, but that is one of the main thing. For most people, the stability of having the 9 to 5, even if it is a small income, that is a main thing as to why a lot of people would prefer a 9 to 5 rather than venturing off in preference of starting something for themselves, because then the responsibility is not on them as a individual. And for a lot of people, when it comes to taking the accountability and being responsible for themselves, that is not something that a lot of people like to do. So the 9 to 5 is always going to be a way of life for a lot of people. Most people, yes, are still out working, but when it comes to venturing off to do something or to create or start something for yourself, it's going to take a lot more than being dependent on someone or something else. When it comes to creating the financial stability for yourself, you're not going to have to rely on it yourself, and most people aren't just ready to do that. Especially when it comes to creating something from ground up for yourself, most people aren't ready to do that. So the stability and predictability is the one of the main thing that a lot of people will stay stay in a 9 to 5. For most people, is forever, and a lot of people are out working. But when it comes to taking that extra step to start and create something for yourself, most people rather stick to the 9 to 5 because it's predictable. It's sure that it's if I keep working and keep clocking in and out, that paycheck is gonna keep coming. So that's another one. And the next perk to wanting to stay to a 9 to 5 is that it comes it comes with some perks and benefits, of course, but those perks and benefit, most of that really just don't pay off or pay you enough for you to say, okay, this with this I can leave this job and not having to work for another year or two. Not you can't do that with majority of jobs. As a matter of fact, let me point this out. If you can't if you can't quit or leave your job and not having to go get another job within 6 months to a year, you are effectively living below the poverty line and you are considered to be poor. And for a high percentage of people throughout the world, most people cannot do that. If you leave your 9 to 5 within a few months' time, or not in, for most people, not in a few months' time, for most people within a month, possibly weeks, you'll have to go and get another job. So, what you really have to think about is that I've been working this job for X amount of years, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I want to be. If I quit this job today, will I have to go get another job 6 months to a year out? For most people, that is a yes. That is a solid hard yes. Do you have enough savings to last you for 6 months to a year? For most people, that's not a reality. So for the job's priority is to get you there and to get you to do the work. The job may seem like it cares about you, but that's not its first priority. The job or the establishment or the business or the organization, their first priority is to get you within that work cycle, to keep you to do the work and to produce what they want you to produce. They'll pay you X amount, yes, but then you have to do the calculation to see where that fits and where that pans out to how it's going to make your life better, or is it going to keep your life stagnant. For most people, that's a an acceptable comfortable life, which That's fine if that's what they want. Most people, this is what everyone else has done. So why would they different? Why would they want to do different, right? But then you have to ask yourself, by the time you get to a certain age and you only have X amount of money, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. What are you doing? Like really, what are you doing? And I get it. When once I get out of school, I wanted to work a 9 to 5. I wanted to start earning for myself so I can pay for things myself and so I can help others that I want to help. But then it comes around to the point in time where you understand that this this is as high as you can go with just simply working hard. It'll only get you to a certain point. So you really have to really sit down and make an actual goal that you're gonna have to do this and make these choices so you can not only have just one but a second income. And if you have one income, then that one income must be enough to be able to give you the flexibility. So if you were to stop working, that at least that one job, the what that one job will be paying you or have been paying you, that should be able to last you at least for 6 months to a year. And so at least that'll give you enough time to get something else going, whether you want to go get a 9 to 5 or you want to start something new. So the first income and a second passive income is my ideal way to go. So you can at least use the first or the primary paycheck to pay all your bills and to take care of all the basic needs. And the second paycheck, you can use the second paycheck as investments or savings. And I guess I'll get into that just a little bit after this, because savings in today's day and age, while savings is a good thing, but you can only do so much with savings, and then especially with the income in the within the job sector in today, I prefer to invest rather than just save. If you can save 20 or 10% of your paycheck, that is a good thing. But investments, you want to invest where you could get a proper return, because based on what the return ratio and what you're gonna get from the bank when you're saving with a bank, you're not really gonna get much. If you look in your bank account and you see there's a return that's called a dividend, what you get every month, it's called a dividend. You'll see it'll be 0.001, something around there, 0.002. For some, maybe 0.01, 0.02. That's really nothing. So while saving is a good thing, I really that's not my first priority when it comes to building a financial stability for yourself. Investments, and when your investments starting to grow, then you can think of saving. And of course, there are different levels and sectors of savings. So you have basic savings, you have intermediate and high yield savings. When you start to do high yield savings, then that means you start getting a higher return. I'll get more into that after. And so I think uh, where I picked up from was I was talking about why most people wanted to, or they have a preference in working a 9 to 5. While that is fine, there's always going to be a ratio of people that simply just love working a 9 to 5, and some people just really hate it. They hate the job. It sucks. They really hate having to go clock into a 9 to 5. Most people just don't want to having to go deal with all the different personalities on a day-to-day basis. But while for some people they probably just want to go clock in and clock out for a 9 to 5, that's not all the way it is. When you go clock into a 9 to 5, you're not just going there to simply do your job, even though that's what it should be. But then you have to be bombarded by all the other aspects of what that work entails, all the other people that is within that job as well, different personalities. You have to deal with people that are stable and unstable, which just make it a lot more annoying for most people that just want to go work a 9 to 5. And then the work the work criteria and requirements, based on what you're hired for. When you go into the job, oftentimes you are doing more than that. And then what it equates to is that you are now doing more work than you're getting paid for. And then you had in addition to that, you have to deal with all the nonsense that other people are dealing with. Because a lot of people in today's society are just annoying. Most people are unhinged, to say the least. Most people, even though they should just go into the job to work a 9 to 5, most people don't do that. They go in and they gossip. They get into all sorts of nonsense, and you, the individual, or that might just want to go to work a 9 to 5, they make the job just a little bit more unbearable for what you are trying to go there to do. So these are just small elements that add to the fact of I don't want to go work a 9 to 5, and a lot of people have come to this realization that I don't want to having to deal with that. And if the boss could just pay just a little bit more, maybe a lot of people would try to tolerate it a little bit more. But on a large spectrum, most people's like, nah, I don't want to deal with this. I might as well go start a small business and from the ground. It often takes it often takes work that no one else can help you to do except you. And so that's the reason why I always start from pointing back to yourself rather than pointing to anything else, because it always comes back to who are you as a person. Because for for most people, they wouldn't know what to do with money properly, beyond being self-centered or selfish with it. When you've acquired a certain amount of success or wealth or monetary gains, what is it that you do when you are now beyond the beyond the point of you really needing it that much? What do you do with it? Well, the bottom line is that most people are going to be stuck with a 9 to 5 for the entirety of what they consider to be a work life balance. Most people would get caught up in the titles and all the things that come with that come with most job, but at the same time failing to realize that beyond those titles, there's not much you're getting beyond that. You're still gonna have to work 9 to 5, which most people really don't want to do, but most people continue to work a 9 to 5 because they have to, not because they really want to. So I'm gonna interact with AI here a little bit and see what AI thinks about my thought. All right. So do do majority of people enjoy their 9 to 5 job, and if so, why? So give me the percentage rate of people that who rather to work a 9 to 5 or not to work a 9 to 5 and rather to create a business or venture off to do something for themselves.
It definitely varies by generation and individual preferences. For example, a 2024 poll showed that about 76% of Generation Z prefers entrepreneurship over a traditional 9 to 5 job. On the other hand, a 2025 survey found that about 53% of Gen Z workers lean towards freelancing, while 47% still prefer traditional 9 to 5 roles. So, in summary, while a significant portion of younger generations is drawn to entrepreneurship and flexibility, a good number still value the stability and benefits of a 9 to 5 job.
Okay, thank you. So tell me, what are some recommendations would you require for the everyday working man and woman in order to venture off from having to work a 9 to 5 and having to work until they're 65?
Absolutely. Venturing out from a 9 to 5 and aiming for financial independence before 65 is definitely an exciting goal. Here's some recommendations. Number one, financial literacy. Budgeting and saving. Develop strong budgeting habits and save a significant portion of your income. Investing. Learn about different investment vehicles, stocks, bonds, real estate, index funds, and start early. Debt management. Minimize high interest debt and aim to pay it off quickly. Two, entrepreneurial skills. Identify a niche, focus on a field you're passionate about and see a demand for. Build a business plan, outline your goals, target audience, and financial projections. Start small, begin with a side hustle to minimize risks and gradually scale up. Three, networking and mentorship. Build connections, attend industry events, join online communities, and network with other entrepreneurs. Find a mentor, seek guidance from experienced business owners who can offer valuable insights and support. Number four, continuous learning. New technologies and business strategies, skill development, invest in skills that are in demand like digital marketing, coding, or financial management. Number five, work-life balance. Set boundaries. Make sure to balance work and personal life to avoid burnout. Self-care. Prioritize mental and physical well-being to stay motivated and productive. And number six, risk management. Don't rely on just one source of income. Diversify to reduce risks. Plan for uncertainty. Have a contingency plan to navigate unexpected challenges. With these steps, it's definitely possible to transition from a 9 to 5 to a more flexible and fulfilling career path.
All right, so that was a good list and explanation. Can you go into the financial literacy because in general, a lot of people tend not to have a great knowledge what it is to be financially literate. So, give me a detailed explanation of what is it to be financially literate, and give me some examples as well. All right, can you give me a detailed explanation of financial literacy and some explanation as well, and some examples as well? All right, we'll play some music.